Good evening. Today we're going to talk about multi-step equations. These are equations that take more than 2 steps in order to solve. So our first problem is going to be 5 equals 5m minus 23 plus 2m. Now, right off the bat, you can see that we have 2 terms with variables. Now, because they're the same variable, we can go ahead and combine like terms. So, if you see something like this, the first thing you're going to want to do is see if you can combine like terms, which we can. 5m plus 2m. Remember, we use the sign that's in front of the other term. 5m plus 2m is 7m. So we're going to rewrite the whole equation. We don't care how much paper we use up, as long as our work is neat and orderly. Now, it's a regular 2-step equation. Go ahead, we add 23 to both sides. 5 plus 23 is 28, equals 7m. I divide both sides by 7. My 7 cancels out here. 28 divided by 7 is 4, equals m. Here is my answer. Now, I should always check my work, just to make sure that I didn't make any silly mistakes with negatives and positives. So, to check, let's do this in this pinkish color here. We have 5 equals 5 times 4 minus 23 plus 2 times 4. So let's go ahead and do our multiplication first. We get 5 equals 20 minus 23 plus 8. 20 minus 23 is negative 3 plus 8 equals 5. 5 equals negative 3 plus positive 8 is 5, and it's the same answer, so we check that is correct. Let's try another problem. Let's look at 11m minus 8 minus 6m equals 22. Again, we're going to look if we have any similar terms. Yes, we have 11m and 6m. Remember, we can only combine them if they are like terms. If one of these had m squared, there would be 2 different terms, and we couldn't combine them. But we'll get to that in a few weeks. So let's go ahead and combine 11m minus 6m. We have a minus sign in front of it, and it goes to the number behind it. 11m minus 6m is positive 5m. Minus 8 equals 22. Now, it doesn't matter if you had negative 8 minus 5m, negative 8 plus 5m, or 5m minus 8. It will work the same both ways. We're going to add 8 to both sides. We get 5m equals 30. Divide both sides by 5. The 5's cancel out, and we get m equals 6. Let's go ahead, we circle our answer, and check our work. Here's my check. Always label your check, so the person who's going through your work, me, knows what it is. So let's see, we always go back to the original equation also. 11 times 6 minus 8 minus 6 times 6 equals 22. 11 times 6 is 66, minus 8, negative 6 times 6 is negative 36, equals 22. 66 minus 8 is 58. Sorry about that. 58 minus 36 equals 22. 58 minus 36 is 22. and 22 equals 22. So we put a little check there so we know that it's correct. Here's one for you to try on your own. And in the video, there'll be a place for you to write it down and solve. Negative 2y plus 5 plus 5y equals 14. Do it in your notes. If you want to copy down the problems from before to doing your notes, go for it. Solve this, and like I said, there'll be something coming up in a moment where you can post your answer and I'll check it at home. Okay. How about let's look at another problem. So it's going to be slightly different. Negative 8 times 2x minus 1 equals 36. Now here, we don't have like terms to combine yet, but we do have the distributive property. So here, the first thing we're going to look for is the distributive property. And we're going to go ahead and distribute that negative 8 to both terms. So negative 8 times 2x is negative 16x. And negative 8 times negative 1 is positive 8. Don't forget your signs when you're doing this. It'll give you the wrong answer and mess up all your work. And then you'll cry and it'll be very upsetting. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulty, but we're back on. So we're going to subtract 8. Oops, wrong color. We're going to subtract 8 from both sides. We get negative 16x equals 28. Divide both sides by negative 16. And we get x equals negative 7 over 4. Now, if you want to do it as a fraction, you can leave it like this. It's perfectly fine. If you want to write it as a decimal, you could do that too. Then x would be negative 1.75. But whatever you do, make sure you keep it the same throughout your work. Okay, next we have is the check. So again, we're going back to the original equation. Negative 8 times 2 times negative 1.75. Going to work with the decimal here. Minus 1 equals 36. Again, I went back to this equation, not this one. So first thing I'm going to do is 2 times negative 175 equals negative 8 times 3.5 minus 1 equals 36. 3.5 minus 1, whoops, it's negative 3.5. Negative 8 times negative 3.5 minus 1 is negative 4.5 equals 36. Then we're going to go ahead and multiply that negative 8 times 4.5, and we're going to get 36, which equals 36. Remember, it's positive because the negative times the negative is positive, and there we go. Our work is correct. How about I give you one to try on your own? Let's try 18 equals 3 times 2x minus 16. Now, again, if the answer comes out to be a fraction, go ahead and leave it as a fraction, or put it as a decimal. It's up to you. Again, in a moment, something's going to show up for you to work on. Let's try one more scenario that you might see. Our friend the fraction. Let's try, oops, you don't need to see that, 3x divided by 4 minus x over 3 equals 10. So here we have fractions. Now, there are two ways we can do this. First way is we can go ahead and common denominators. this will work, but then you're working with fractions the whole time, and that can be confusing. So I like to use the method of eliminating the fraction. Now, it's very similar to common denominators, eliminating the fraction, except you don't have any fractions to deal with. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find a common denominator. Well, the common denominator of 4 and 3 is 12. So we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 12. Because what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Now this is where some people get a little confused, so I'm going to go through this slowly. 12 times 3x over 4, the 12 and the 4 cancel out. The 4 disappears, and all that's left here is a 3. So I have 3 times 3x, which is 9x. And I'm going to do it with the negative x over 3. The 3 cancels out, and all I'm left with is 4. And I have 4x equals 10 times 12 is 120. Now, 9x minus 4x is 5x equals 120. 5x divided by 5 gives me x equals 120 divided by 5 equals 24. Now I'm going to go ahead and check. But before I check, let me talk about what I did over here again. So I basically distributed the 12 out to both terms and simplified. 12 times 3 is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And 12x over 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4. And that gave me my 4x. If this confuses you, don't worry. Come to Math Extra Help, and I'll go through working with fractions with you again. If you get it, awesome. So let's go ahead and check. Again, we go back to our original equation. 3x over 4 minus, whoops, this shouldn't be x. This should be 24. Minus 24 over 3 equals 10. Well, I could go ahead and 4 divided by 24 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Minus 24 divided by 3 is 8 equals 10. 18 minus 3 is 10 equals 10. We are correct. Hooray! We get a little happy face because we are so happy our work came out. Okay, one problem for you to try. Again, try it with eliminating the fraction. We have 2b, and not to be, 2b over 5 plus 3b over 4 equals 3. I'll give you a little hint here. 1. What is the common denominator? Two. Multiply both sides by the number. Okay, ladies, put your answers into the work. I'll check it. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.